Hi everybody. Yes, I'm just been asked to say a few words about poetry in general and about Stephen's work. I've been blessed and honoured to write the foreword for the book, so I won't repeat that. You can read that for yourselves. And if I do go on too long, this giant bird up here is going to swoop down and drag me off stage. So I've got a safety mechanism. But poetry, to write poetry, you need certain attributes, certain sensibilities. You need a keen awareness of yourself. You need a keen awareness of the environment that you're within and what's around you. You need time to step back, to contemplate, to take in this input that the world gives us, to let that marinate in the mind, and to analyse that, and to let that come out through the medium of poetry. This altogether takes patience. It takes a steadfast belief in yourself and your own morals, and it takes a love of language. And this kind of stuff you don't typically learn in a creative writing class. This is the kind of stuff that you learn as an individual just going through life. And I find parallels in those needs for poetry also in faith. When you're with God, to be one with God, to be quiet within His presence, you need a solitude, you need again that belief, that steadfast confirmation of one's faith, and you need a time for prayer as well. And within that, this is where we make sense of things, through prayer, through that reflection, through that meditation. And poetry gives us the same. And Stephen, if anyone is familiar with Stephen's work, or if you haven't and you go home and you read the book, you'll find that Stephen has those skills in abundance. I don't know if he was born with them, I don't know if they were hard earned through grafts, but he turned up to Pearly Poetry, the open mic night in Belfast, my wife and I run, and he shared his work. This was pre-COVID, about 4 or 5 years ago. We've all lost track of time. We don't know what year it is, we've forgotten. And I was struck right away by, and I do say this in the forward, I was struck right away by Stephen's just his use of language, his playful use of rhyme, but just also the sheer joy that he had, and actually standing up on a stage and be able to share his work and say, these are just small poems, these are about things I think about, these are little moments in my life, and as poets, that's what most of our poetry is. But the fact is that we use language to translate them, and we share them with an audience, and we give a greater meaning to that. In Stephen's work, you can't help but share in that joy, to emphasise with just that childlike sense of wonder that he brings when looking through the world, and particularly the poems in East Belfast. When we write about place and about environment, what we're actually writing about is our own relationship with our place. There's only so much we can talk about the actual physical appearance of something, or what the weather was like, or how green the trees are and the change of colours in the autumn. But what we really want to get from poetry is an insight that only exceptional poets can give. And it's not just enough to visit a place, that through the poetry we are seeing it through Stephen's eyes, and that enriches the experience and the environment for ourselves. It's a real pleasure to be able to read through those poems, to get kind of first sight into them, and to think about the journey that Stephen has been through, and this exceptional book that I'm really happy that Yellow House is putting out and supporting an East Belfast poet. And hopefully we'll see much more poetry collections of a similar ilk from Yellow House in future years. But you're going to hear it very, very soon when I eventually shut up, just how good the poetry is. But it's not just the poetry, it's Stephen as a person. I think he brings in that sense of personality, his gentleness, his consideration, his care, and just his sense of fun. But also, most importantly as well, his deep faith that he has. You can feel when Stephen talks about going out for walks and going through nature in different spots in East Belfast, we don't just walk alone, that God walks beside us and guides us, and I think that really comes through in the book. But you're going to hear that for yourself right now. Please welcome the man of the hour, Stephen Knox.
Well, thank you very much, Colin. Thank you, Colin, very much. I didn't know who you were talking about there for most of that, but I do really appreciate it. And thank you, Chris, as well. And that's where I'm going to start, because I have lots. Can everybody hear me okay? I don't really need the microphone? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Right. And I'm going to start by thanking a number of people who have really helped me on this journey. I have lots of people to thank. And I certainly wouldn't have got to this stage tonight without the help of all those people. So it's been a real collaboration, a real team effort, and I'm going to go through them one by one. Thanks to Chris Thackeray and Yellowhouse Publishing for even approaching me to write this book. I have a couple of poems in some of the journals that have been published, but it was a great honour to be asked to write my own book. So thank you, Chris, for that. And I think he's done Yellowhouse Publishing have done a great job with the production of the book, so I think that's well worth recognising. I'm going to thank my daughter Sophie down here for the cover design, and this represents, well, this is my dog Molly, first of all. He features quite a lot in this book, I'm afraid. And the waterfall in Craig Glen, and the bluebells and ferns and all the nature. So she's done it. Thanks, Soph. That's a great job. To Linda Nealons here, who edited the collection for me. Thank you, Linda, and was very careful, took a lot of time to do that, so I much appreciate it. To Colin for writing the foreword and for his meticulous proofreading. I've never seen anybody who's able to proofread better than Colin. He was able to pick out things that I'd never thought of, but really, really great. Thank you. And for the final edits as well. Thank you very much. To Catherine McAteer. Catherine's not here tonight, but she was my PA when I worked for Bernardo's, and since I retired she's continued to do lots of things for me, setting out my work, writing reports, doing all that kind of thing for me, so big thanks to her too. To Tom, who's here today. Tom, you might see videoing here. That's him there. Tom has a YouTube channel called Positive Belfast, which has many thousands of views, millions maybe, I don't know, Tom, not quite sure, on all aspects of life in and around Belfast. And he was kind enough to video me reading a number of my poems at the very beginning when I was starting to write. So I want to thank Tom too. And of course to all my family, to Jan, to Holly. I'm supposed to go out. Oh, there she is. Oh, no, there. I didn't see it. To Jack, to Jemima, who's going to read for us in a moment or two, and to my brother David, who's been very encouraging to me throughout my poetry journey and come along to lots of poetry nights. whenever he didn't have to, so appreciate that.
GPS signal lost.
Oh,
That's right. What?
just on cue. And of course, I'm going to thank Bright Umbrella as well for this great venue. I didn't know about it at all until I was informed about it, came down, and Bright Umbrella's Sanctuary Theatre have been very supportive. I'll maybe talk a bit later about some of the productions you have coming up soon, which people will be interested in. Okay, so the last, in terms of thanks, I'd just like to thank all the writing groups that I have been involved in, which have encouraged me to actually speak out my words. The first thing I went to, as Colin was saying, was Purely Poetry, which is an open mic event in the Crescent Arts Centre. And I remember being very, very nervous the first night when I got up to read some poetry, but Colin and Geraldine and all the crew there are very encouraging and very helpful. I also like to thank Chris again for the art sessions, which had until fairly recently met in the C.S. Lewis Square above Jack's coffee shop. And we're hoping to kind of have some events maybe here, not sure, in the future. And then thirdly, I'd like to thank the other writing group that I'm involved in, which is called the Edgehill Christian Writers Group, which meets mostly on Zoom every month. And all those groups give something different and are very encouraging. So thank you to all of those people. Now, I hope I haven't left anybody out, but probably have. But I'm going to read, first of all, a couple of poems, and I have a couple of guests who are going to join me as well. But the first poem that I'm going to read is the first poem actually in the book. I thought I should read it since we're down to the bottom of the Castlereagh Road. This poem is about the Woodstock Road actually, but other roads are available for poetry. But this one's about the Woodstock Road. And it sort of calls to mind, people know this area, when you go down the Woodstock Road and round the bend to the traffic lights, and the short strand is straight across the road from you, you'll see what would you call it, like a sculpture or an art piece which says hope on it. And you've probably passed it thousands of times. Anyway, this is called The Poetry of the Road. I've passed this way 10,000 times, a road of no surprise. I've failed to recognize its rhymes. I've failed to lift my eyes. But travel now, look up high, a feast of alliteration, with verse to lift you to the sky, the street's recent iteration. Washing Well, Lelam House, Bell's Bridge roundabout, House of Hair, Leathers Blow, Wise Buys, Cafe O, Eats and Treats, Ziggy Sig, Sheer Bliss Barber's Cutting Gig, Piccola Parma, Boss Beauty, Hidden Hands Deft Tattooing, Diamond Dogs to War Heroes, in Flanders fields where poppies grow, Munchman, Tropical Tan, Banana Bend to Short Strand, and here it ends, this roadish rhyme, where hope awaits through all time. I should have really said at the beginning, just thank you so much everybody for coming here from all different arts and parts, and especially on such a terrible night as this. So I really do appreciate it. It's great. This next poem, which I'm going to read, and then I'm going to ask Jemima to come up after this one, okay? Was triggered, and really should be in honour of my son Jack. He's sitting over here. And that's because if I ever have a problem with technology, which is quite often, I'm trying to work things out on my laptop, I would ask Jack, what should I do? And he would say, just Google it. Now, he is very good, he does help me out with things, but just Google it was a term that I was very taken with. So this is called Just Google It. Researching an important fact, my mind goes blank. The youth advise, just Google it and you will see that Google Truth will set you free. I look past became Britannicas, still shelved, bypass dusty, trusted tomes, pick up my laptop, enter the password world of all that is known and will ever be known, offer my urgent question on the search engine altar, I just Google it. And there it is, the answer with one click, an immediate Wikipedia slick response to what I need. No need to think it through, just Google it. That's all I have to do. And I can know the toe count of a rhinoceros, why ducks' feet don't stick to ice, how to clear a blocked drain, who's the patron saint of Spain, the lifespan of a damselfly. If I'm lost, where am I? Then enter, am I loved? At this, Google cannot even guess. When I ask the Father, he says, yes, yes. So I'm now going to ask my granddaughter, Jemima, to come and join us. And she is going to read one of my poems. Hi. This is Eleanor, my other granddaughter. This poem is what I think goes on inside my dog's head. Okay? So,
His Spaniel's Voice by Stephen Knox. I like to walk with my master. He likes to stroll in the woods. I wish he could walk a bit faster. To be honest, I don't think he could. I like to explore my surroundings. He likes to keep to the trail. He misses the sights that astound me and the wand-like wag of my tail. I adore the thrill of a thicket, adore a good ferret about. Any foul body, I'll lick it, give it a sniff with my snout. Why won't he jump in the river? It'll only go up to his knees. He's worried he might feel a shiver. He's scared he might even freeze. My master knows none of my habits. He'll stand and chat to his chums. In a flash, I'll hare after rabbits, while other dogs focus on bums. He's more like my partner than master. We do our own thing when we're out. He keeps me safe from disaster. I give him a reason to shout. I don't know how he came to be here. I must have found him some day. I've helped him to keep his head clear. Now I'll train him to play.
Thank you, Jemima, very much. That was terrific. Very well read. Now, I have to tell you that Jemima is a published poet long before I was published in a couple of different school, inter-school collections. So she's very good. She's a one to watch. Okay, so let's find this. I read this one because I'm going to introduce another guest in a moment or two. And one of the pleasures I've had over the last 2 or 3 years is to attend events run by yarn spinners. I don't know if anybody knows of yarn spinners, but Liz Weir is the kind of boss person of it, yeah? Which is a technical term for that. And all over Northern Ireland, these yarn spinners events. There's storytelling, stories about folk tales, individuals, all kinds of things. Terrific nights they are, and I have been very privileged to be asked in some of those evenings to read some of my poetry. So this is a poem about storytelling, or storytellers. The Teller's Well. Dug deep in the land lies an ancient well, where truth to tell, tall tales abound, waiting to be found and turning silence into sound. A teller comes, pail in hand, ties it to the well rope. It descends on dark, still water, until, with an echo splash, the bucket breaks the surface and lets itself be filled. The teller draws it up. Nothing is spilled. Sets it on the ground. Peers in to search for fables, sagas from ages past, of love, life, death, hope. Leans on the well shaft wall, where, with well-crafted words held in trust, the teller brings a story to us all. Thursday every month in Tullycarnet Library, although it is in other libraries across the country too, but yeah, as well. And you know, the real skill of storytelling is alive and well. So thanks, Sharon, very much. So I'm just going to read another few poems, and then you'll be glad to know it'll be time for supper. So we'll have tea and coffee and some food, and there's other cold drinks there if anybody wants those. But let me just share a few more with you. I'm going to go back to Jemima again here. This is a poem about Jemima learning the viola, and this happened, I think it was during lockdown, and Jemima was in our house, and you were doing your viola lesson over Zoom, and I was sitting beside you watching this happening. So this is my reflection about it. I wonder, did Andrea Amati is credited with making the first violins and violas and that kind of. Anyway, I wonder, did Andrea Amati of Cremona ever dream 5 centuries ago a child would draw her bow across the deep strung seam, middle finger stretched as far as it could go? Would he have known to memorize the order of the chords? The child would chant, "Cats go down alleys," as Papa applauds the tunes of hill climbing, level crossing, and rainbows on the little brother of the cello. Would he have understood the dictum not to squash the hamster, couched in the bed of her wrist, to allow the low alto inner voice resound as notes are kissed? There would be joy for the Italian artisan to see the 9-year-old play his creation with innocence and passion, while Papa's mood lifts to heaven as the bow's arc soars, slaked by amber resin. For anybody who has to go to the optician to get their eyes tested, I can see there are a few people here in that category. This one's for you. Try not to blink. Again, try not to blink. Like asking me not to feel, to expose myself to harm. We move on. Distance vision. Like a buzzard spotting a vole in the field below, I go for a speck, the smallest letter on the lowest line. Dive, snatch, devour it. Perfect, she says. Near vision. Now here's the problem. Not seeing things right in front of me. Lens is checked. Right eye first. B, C, D, E. Left eye next. Z, S, T, U. I can't be sure. Place your head on the chin rest. Which lens is clearer? Number 1 or number 2? Number 1 or number 2? This one or this one? Each eye examined for its failings. An unexpected request. Stare at my left ear. An uncomfortable intimacy. An earring sparkles as I wait for the flash. Look left, look right, look up, look down, look straight ahead. Then eyes fixed on the dot to spot flickers quickening all round the screen, caught before they disappear. Pleased that none escaped. Verdict, no deterioration. No need to change prescription. Emerging into the bright day, relieved my sight is sound, yet still I see through a glass darkly, knowing only in part, yearning for the light, when I shall fully know as I am known. Thanks very much. This one is like a little collection of buzzwords that you hear people say. I used to, when I was in work, hear these things said all the time, and I used to go around collecting them because often I just couldn't get over them. It's called Rest Day. Leave me in my comfort zone. Let me think inside the box. May still silence set the tone. Stop the ticking clocks. No room for blue sky thinking. Let grey matter run aground. No place for onion peeling. Leave the watch unwound. There's nothing on my radar. No one to touch base with. No team to take a hit for in this no blame culture myth. No drilling down. No running up flagpoles at the end of day. No need to set a row of ducks or keep myself in play. Today is not a day for doing. No going forward, no turning back. Today is just a day for being. There is nothing that I lack. So just a couple more. I thought on this very stormy evening it might be good to think about those who are out in the sea and trying to ensure that they're safe. And it reminded me of the shipping forecast, and people may know or have listened many times to the shipping forecast on the radio, which has a certain poetry of its own when you listen to it. Anyway, this is my version of the shipping forecast. Southwesterly 4 or 5. South 5 or 6 later. Thundery showers becoming cyclonic. Fisher, Dogger, German Bight. Fair Isle, Faroes, Humber, White. Shannon, Soul, Irish Sea. Malin, Viking, Cromarty. Fastnet 40s, Southeast Iceland, South Utsira, Bailey, Portland, Hebrides, Utsira North, Rockall Thames, Plymouth Forth, Tyne, Lundy, Biscay, Dover, shipping forecasts almost over. Sending waves across the sea, across the deep's geography, swarms of storms and squally showers, crashing gales for several hours. She listens, sleepless through the night, and prays to God they'll be all right. Okay, so this is the last one I'm going to read, and this is one of the earliest poems I wrote. And hello, Eleanor, are you okay over there? This is my wee friend. This is part of what inspired the cover, and it's where I go walking quite a lot. It's called Craigagh Glen. I've hurried back to raise my pen to write a song for Craigagh Glen. River rushing in my ear, bird song fills the autumn air. Cannot wait to go again and walk the path of Craigagh Glen. Every day when I arise, I ponder on the glen's surprise, that moment when the sunlight glints through leaves that look like patchwork prints. I try to catch it now and then, the wonder of the Craigagh Glen. The glen is wild and cold and wet, steps and paths need care, and yet, when springtime comes, it lives anew, a colour carpet, brilliant blue, a sight to glad the hearts of men, the bluebell heaven of the glen. The summer sends a peaceful glow, trees shade the walkers far below. The rainless loop drops slowly down as it heads towards the town. But wait for rain and love it when power returns to Craigagh Glen. When I'm old and legs are sore and Craigagh Glen is mine no more, I dream of walking in the past, and memories come flooding fast. I'll close my eyes, count to 10, and find myself in Craigagh Glen.
So that was Stephen Knox's book launch, Sensing Wonder.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Yellowhouse Publishing, their leading independent Northern Ireland publisher. And there's the website, and there's the contact email, and there's the phone number. So, and we're going to have a bite to eat apparently.
Young adults, like a teenager or something.